What's good everyone, Smudgy here. As you can see, we do currently have in our hands the gold Sykov pistols, akimbo with the 80 round mags and the fully auto attachment. These are an insane weapon and I'm going to show you guys how to level it up, how to get gold, how to get through some of those trickier tasks. I'm going to leave all of the kind of timestamps in the description. So we're going to go through the kind of best loadout through each kind of life cycle of when you're leveling up this gun, how to complete each task. It will be broken down by camo category, so you can just kind of skip ahead to see where you want to kind of level up, because a couple of them are tricky. They're not difficult. It's by far one of the easier pistols to level up, but a couple of them can be tricky, especially if you're not really equipping the right things. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So first things first with it, obviously when you first pick up this gun, you're just going to have nothing on there, and the first challenge is just to try and get some kills so you can unlock some stuff. This is super easy. Obviously these kills themselves will come along as you progress. It's fairly easy, you know, there's very few tips I can do other than kill people. That's pretty much it. As you start to unlock things, I definitely recommend either putting on a scope just to help you kind of zoom in a little bit quicker and kind of not even zoom in quicker, just make sure you're hitting your shots, because it's somewhere in between like the 1911 and the Magnum in terms of how hard it's hitting. So it's hitting decently hard, don't get me wrong, but you're still going to be getting hit markers in hardcore every now and then. So do make sure you are in hardcore, shoot the ship, and not normal shoot the ship. You can put a laser on if you want. I never really needed it. The first thing I really did notice though is putting on this lightweight single action trigger is super important. Your fire rate exponentially increases, and I know it has all these kind of negatives for mobility and control. You won't really notice that in all honesty. So definitely make sure you're putting that on as soon as you can. It's unlocked fairly early. I'd say in the first 10-15 levels. And if you're wondering when the big boy ammo mag is unlocked and the fully auto, don't even worry about that, because they're not unlocked until like level 30 and 40. So it's really not kind of relevant for most of the challenges, I'd say. So it's just really not worth really looking at. I did later on put this on as well, just for a bit of kind of recoil control when I was trying to get my long shots. It's probably something you could take or leave, but I definitely would recommend, you know, putting on a mini reflex and your lightweight trigger. You can rock that for the most part. You won't really see much difference. I did put on this just for a bit of damage range once I did unlock it, and it is a monolithic suppressor as well. That was pretty useful, but it's not a difficult gun to level up, so the actual attachments early on shouldn't have too much of an impact. It's the couple of interesting attachments towards the end that will help you finish off a few of those trickier challenges. So without further ado, let's jump into the challenges themselves. So of course I quickly covered the killing people challenge. You just shoot people and they die. That's generally how that challenge works. Headshots can be a little bit tricky. Obviously with pistols you've got to be, you know, fairly accurate. You don't have that kind of spray for the most part that allows you to often kick up onto the head. It's not difficult. I definitely, if you see an enemy that's either oblivious, camping, AFK, do make sure you get a headshot out of them. Super easy way to do it. We will come back to headshots once we get round to the fully auto mag though, because that's when they really start to come into their own. Kills while crouching, you know, pretty easy. You just crouch, shoot people. You can be, you know, crouch walking all around. You can hold an angle, just make sure you're crouched down, you know. It's a pretty easy challenge. I think most people should be okay with this. Just make sure you're crouched, and you'll rack up these kills naturally as well as you kind of like crouch behind cover and then shoot someone as they come around. That in itself isn't too difficult. A lot of these pistol challenges aren't difficult. They're just a bit of a grind now and then. You might be missing out on like 3 or 4 kills and it feels like it takes forever for you to get them, but crouching shouldn't cause you too many issues. So obviously next up is Hipfire kills. Not the easiest in the world. This pistol was easier than a lot of other pistols I've got gold. That much I will say. I used to really struggle with Hipfire. I used to have to put, you know, a laser on, make sure that I was consciously spraying from the hip. But at the moment, and this may just be for this weekend, everyone is using this pistol, trying to get it gold, trying to unlock the full auto. So make full use of that. Go out and just hip fire to your heart's content. You can put a laser on if it feels like it helps you. I don't think I use one for the majority of it. It's useful if you are struggling, but everyone's using pistols, so you do have that kind of buffer if you do miss your first few shots, where everyone else is kind of using pistols instead of running around with, you know, full ARs, SMGs in hardcore. So you should find this relatively easy. If you are struggling, it is the sort of thing that you have to make a mental note to not aim in, and if you're really struggling, just sit around a corner between a busy walkway, especially in shoot house, and just kind of spray people as they come past. They often won't have time to react, and if they do, then that's GG's to them. So next up, of course, is Longshot kills, something that the pistols are notoriously not fantastic at unless you're using the Magnum or the Deagle. The Renetti sucks, especially for this. But Longshots themselves weren't that bad. You only need to be over 20 meters, so you can do them in shipment quite comfortably. It's essentially kind of halfway down one of the lines of sight on either the sides of the containers. It's really not that bad. This is where the scope comes in. I found it kind of helpful. If you're looking at the screen quite intensely as well, trying to like pick someone's head out of like behind one of the containers is quite useful. It's not really the world's most important thing to have a sight on there if you really don't mind the iron sights, but I personally found it quite helpful. Long shots will come naturally, and again this helps because everyone's using this pistol at the moment, is that you have that buffer of time where you can miss a few shots and still get away with it, even in hardcore. Obviously on Shoot the Ship, this is a fantastic map or map set to get this done on. Even Shoot House, I really wasn't struggling with this pistol. You can essentially just sit down any line of sight and you'll be able to pick people off for long shots, and long shots will come naturally as well. So just bear that in mind, don't force it, you know, have it in the back of your mind, but it's not really a main focus point, I guess you could say, when it comes to unlocking camos. Now of course we do have double kills, and at this point, unless you've been spamming double XP tokens, which is what I'd recommend, you may not have the full auto unlocked yet. I think I did about halfway through this camo challenge, so that wasn't so bad. It meant that I could rack up double kills a little bit easier, but double kills themselves are fairly easy in hardcore. People tend to run fairly clumped together, or you'll find, you know, 2 or 3 people in Shoot House, you know, mounted up on the back of either wall down that middle lane, and that's an easy double kill. In shipment there's people everywhere, so you will find double kills. It is just a case of making sure you're keeping firing in case you do get a hit marker, because I was finding that I could be a meter away from someone and get a hit marker, but, you know, ping someone off with one shot in like 20 meters away. So it is a bit of inconsistency in the guns part. So do make sure you are maybe putting an extra bullet into them. If you kill your teammate, you kill your teammate. It's just one of those things. Just make sure you are firing off a few extra rounds to make sure you're getting those kills. Then of course you do have get kills with all attachments. That's pretty self-explanatory. Just put on some attachments you feel are working for you. If you don't have full auto unlocked, I'd recommend putting on the 20 round bag. You don't really need the 80 round bag if you don't have full auto. Maybe a rear grip or a laser. Just something to bulk it out so you are making sure you're getting these challenge kills and you're not left with all of these challenge kills to do at the end. You do only need 110, and I know that sounds weird, but I got this gold in about 2 hours. There's so many people online right now trying to level up this weapon that it's a really, really easy camo grind to do, so I definitely recommend trying to do it this weekend while it's still kind of like a new novel thing. But this wasn't a hard challenge. Shortly after reloading is a little bit different. I definitely make sure you take off full auto if you're using it and put on sleight of hand with a 20 round mag. And essentially what I did at that point was fire a shot, run around with my gun with 1 bullet missing, and if I saw an enemy I'd reload and then spam the trigger and hopefully pick up the kill. Alternatively, I would literally just lie on the ground near a kind of quite a heavy footfall point, firing my gun, reloading until I got a kill. You have 5 seconds once you reload and you're ready to shoot again. From that point you have to get a kill. If you don't, it probably won't count. So with that in mind, do just make sure you are kind of essentially constantly reloading, and that's why I say put sleight of hand on. That's really, really important. And then of course we do have kill enemies with no attachments, and you're gonna have to go back to when you first started using the gun. It didn't actually take that long, in fairness. It just wasn't pleasant. Now I knew the joys of what this gun held. It was just a bit of a grind, I guess you could say. You only need 75 kills, so, you know, significantly less than the all attachments challenge. It's just one of those things, you know, there's very few tips. Play it slow if it's a particularly aggressive team. You know, go really, really aggressive if it's a particularly passive team. You've got to read the lobby a bit. Lobby surf, don't be afraid to back out if you are getting like slapped about by a really, really sweaty 6-man team. You know, those kills will come. And of course the last one is kill 3 enemies without dying 25 times. It's easy in the right lobbies is probably the best way to put it. At this point you should have full auto unlocked, you should have the 80 round mag, and you should have them equipped, along with the lightweight trigger, but not the first one, the second lightweight trigger, and monolithic suppressor. And I put on a rear grip purely because the recoil, it can be quite heavy for this, and that is a good thing, and I'll get onto that later. Obviously this is far easier when you're essentially running around with a machine gun with the mobility of a pistol. This gun's horrendously overpowered. It's a ton of fun to play with, but it's horrendously overpowered, and you'll see in the clips that I've had playing, it's a ridiculous gun. Now the reason I say that the recoil can actually be a good thing is if you were struggling with headshots like I was before I unlocked the gold, I needed like 10 headshots to unlock it gold. I had everything else completed, and the way that this gun kicks up, it means that if you are kind of 15 or so meters away, I'd say, this gun kicks up in such a way that your final shot will quite often hit them in the head when you're using the full auto, and so you were just being given headshots essentially. And I got something stupid like 10 headshots in a match when I've been averaging about 3 or 4 headshots usually, so that was a massive kind of boost, not something I expected. Do make sure you have a recoil attachment on here though, because it does have some hell of a kick. If you are going to use a Kimbo, I wouldn't recommend it for the camo grind itself, maybe in shipment, but definitely not in shoot house. You want to make sure you're able to aim down sights while you're still going for specific challenges, unless of course those challenges are hipfire kills and that's something you're really struggling with, then maybe a Kimbo will be the way forward. But for, camo grinds itself, stay away from a Kimbo, and then after that you should be good to go for a Kimbo, play with it to your heart's content. And with that being said, I want to know if you're going to go for gold with this pistol, or if you're just going to try and unlock the full auto in the 80 round mag. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you want to find your way back. I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.